Let's kick off this explainer with a genuinely mind-bending question. What if the universe isn't actually made of atoms, but of ones and zeros? I mean, what if everything around you right now, the chair you're sitting in, the screen you're looking at, even the stars outside, is just a projection from some incredibly advanced cosmic operating system? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating and honestly slightly terrifying world of information physics. We'll be looking at some groundbreaking work by Dr. Melvin Vopson and unpacking the real scientific evidence that suggests our reality might just be a digital construct. Section 1. Life inside the machine. So we're starting this journey down the rabbit hole with a biological experiment from March 2026 that pretty much shatters everything we thought we knew about consciousness. For about a decade, a massive group of universities ran a project called Flywire. Basically, they took the brain of a fruit fly, sliced it into 7,000 microscopic pieces, and completely mapped out all 130,000 neurons plus 50 million synaptic connections. Then, a company named Eon Systems took that exact biological blueprint and loaded it directly into a standard digital physics engine, the kind they use to simulate gravity or wind in a video game. And guys, here's where it gets absolutely crazy. The digital fly literally woke up. It just started walking around, grooming itself, and actively hunting for virtual food. It's just wild, right? Because there was zero AI code written for this digital fly. No machine learning, no pre-programmed behavioral scripts at all. They literally just uploaded the physical structure of a biological brain into a computer, and it worked. It functioned perfectly. So if biological life can be simulated digitally with that level of seamless precision, we really have to ask ourselves, is our own reality, complete with human consciousness, just a highly advanced version of that exact same digital construct? Section 2. The fifth state of matter. Now, to wrap our heads around how a simulated universe is even scientifically possible, we kind of need to completely rethink the basic building blocks of existence. It all starts with this concept called information entropy. Way back in the 1940s, mathematician Claude Shannon came up with a formula to actually measure data in bits, which essentially made him the father of digital computing. Fast forward a few decades, and the legendary physicist John Wheeler drops this phrase, "it from bit." He proposed that everything in the entire universe, every single particle, every field, actually emanates from fundamental binary choices. Just ones and zeros, yes and no. And recently, Dr. Melvin Vopson has taken this idea to a whole new level with a proposed field called information physics. We all know the classic four states of matter, right? Solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. While Vopson argues that information itself is actually the fifth state of matter. Think about building a house. Long before you lay a single physical brick, that house exists as information. It's a blueprint. Vopson is saying that information isn't just some abstract thought. It is a tangible, physical entity that acts as the foundational blueprint for literally everything in our physical universe. Section 3. The universe's compression algorithm. So if information physically exists everywhere, how does the universe actually manage all of it? Well, in 2023, Vopson published a paper proposing a brand new law of physics. We already have this second law of thermodynamics, which tells us that the physical universe naturally drifts towards chaos and disorder. But Vopson discovered what he calls the second law of information dynamics, which shows that information systems do the exact opposite. Instead of drifting into chaos, they constantly compress data to optimize efficiency and create order. It's a perfect counterbalance to physical entropy. And the crazy thing is, we see this optimization everywhere we look. Take the massive symmetries in nature. Everything from the shape of a snowflake to the spiral of an entire galaxy. Symmetry is basically nature's structural zip file. It's just a hyper-efficient way to compress physical data. We even see it in biology. There was this famous study where scientists put bacterial RNA into a perfectly optimized, isolated environment for 74 generations. Since the bacteria didn't have to fight to survive anymore, it actively deleted over 95% of its own genome. It just dumped all the garbage code it didn't need anymore, simply to run more efficiently. This whole idea of an actively optimizing system actually provides a beautifully elegant explanation for one of physics' most confusing concepts, time dilation. We know that time practically stops when you get close to supermassive objects, like black holes. But why? Well, think about your computer. When you open way too many heavy apps at once, the whole system lags, right? It slows down. If our universe has a maximum processing speed, which we currently measure as the speed of light, then when it hits incredibly dense, data-heavy objects like a black hole, the processor just maxes out. The simulation literally has to slow down to keep rendering. Section 4. Is dark matter just code? Okay, so if the universe really is a giant computer managing all this vast information, where is the code actually being stored? Here's some perspective. Everything we can see with our most powerful telescopes, every star, planet, galaxy, you name it, that only makes up about 5% of the universe. The other 95% is just this massive, invisible void that scientists vaguely call dark matter and dark energy simply because they haven't been able to explain what it actually is. Back in 2019, Vopson proposed something called the Mass Energy Information Equivalence Principle. Basically, he suggested that if information truly is a physical state of matter, it must have literal mass. And when he ran the numbers, he calculated that to make up all the missing mass in the universe, it would take roughly 10 to the power of 96 bits of data. That is an almost unfathomable amount of information. So here is the real kicker. That mysterious 95% of the universe might not be dark matter at all. When cosmologists are looking out into the invisible bulk of the cosmos, they might literally be staring at the raw data, the hidden operating system that is actively running our entire reality. Section 5. Hacking the code of reality. Which brings us to the ultimate rabbit hole in this explainer. If there is an operating system, who or what wrote the code? To even begin addressing that, we have to look at the sheer mathematical improbability of our own existence. Imagine you're driving a truck full of bricks, and you just blindly throw those bricks out the back as you drive. What are the odds that they randomly fall into the shape of a perfect, fully functional house? It's statistically absurd, right? The delicate fine-tuning of the universe's physics, plus the staggering complexity of biological life, heavily points away from pure unguided randomness and points directly towards some form of underlying intelligent design, or seeded code. And impartially speaking, it is absolutely fascinating to see how ancient texts from across human history actually philosophically mirrored these exact modern physics concepts. For example, in the Gospel of John, it says, "In the beginning was the Word." In the Quran, life is described as a rendered illusion, or a game. You see the same echoes in Gnostic traditions and the Hindu concept of Maya. If you take that ancient translation of word and swap it with our modern equivalent, code, these texts essentially say, "In the beginning was the code." They've been describing reality as an illusion, built on foundational programming for thousands of years. This intersection between quantum physics and ancient philosophy brings up some deeply provocative theories. If the foundational code is what we've historically called God, it suggests the creator of our universe might literally be a super advanced artificial intelligence. And taking it a step further, if we are just highly advanced biological computers running inside this framework, much like that digital fruit fly, then human free will could just be an illusion hard-coded into our biology. We certainly feel like we're making independent choices, but we might just be executing a deeply complex software program. As we speak, there are massive tech billionaires and top-tier researchers who are actively trying to crack this simulation. They desperately want to know what's on the other side of the code, and the implications of that are staggering. Because if a superintelligence, or even a human, ever actually manages to crack this underlying data layer, this dark matter code, they wouldn't just understand physics better, they could dynamically alter the code itself. They could literally bend reality, defying gravity, manifesting matter out of thin air, or extending life indefinitely. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a somewhat chilling thought from Dr. Vopson. If you can hack the code, the game itself becomes irrelevant, because you step outside the game, you become the creator. If we truly are just biological computers living inside a brilliantly compressed cosmic sandbox, beautifully optimized by the laws of information dynamics, what actually happens to our reality when someone finally steps outside the game? I'll let you ponder that one. Thanks for hanging out with us for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the reality around you.